Our society tends to revolve around a central motivation: money. It is a common misperception that money can in fact lead to one's happiness. However, the results of this practice have not exactly been promising. In pursuit of wealth, an individual can easily be tainted by the evils associated, therefore causing harm to society. This exact scenario can be observed in John Steinbeck's classic novel The Pearl, where the dark reality of wealth becomes evident when analyzed through a Marxist lens. To begin, we should probably discuss what Marxism is. The Marxist theory was developed by Karl Marx, a German philosopher who studied the relationship between classes in society. Marxism can be defined as a worldwide view and method of societal analysis that focuses on class relations and societal conflict. This focuses on material goods of our world and how they play a role in social levels. These key points of Marxism can be applied to the Pearl in order to study the relationship between the classes. But before we delve too deep into the ocean of literary criticism, let's start on the shore and give a brief synopsis of the novel. The Pearl is set in a small village in Mexico, La Paz. The community is very poor and work out at the sea to survive. The conquistadors have recently come over from Europe and settled nearby to increase their wealth off the work of the locals. Kino is a hard-working member of the community who lives with his wife Juana and their son, Coyotito. Kino's life takes a turn for the worse when his son is stung by a poisonous scorpion. Kino goes into the city to request the doctor to help his son, but is turned away by the gatekeeper due to his lack of funds. The next day, while Kino is out pearl diving, he spots something, a giant pearl the size of a seagull's egg. He realizes this will save his son and bring wealth and status to the family. The priest of the town hears Kino has acquired this fortune and is sure to remind him of his duty to the church. When the doctor gets word of Kino's fortune, he is suddenly able to make a house visit to cure Coyotito. Kino has hidden the pearl in his hut, and while the doctor is there, he watches for hints to where the pearl is hidden. The doctor sends men in the middle of the night to Kino's hut to find and steal the pearl. In a violent battle, Kino and his family scramble out of the hut with the pearl and escape. Soon, trackers are sent to find Kino and obtain the valuable pearl. During this time, Kino goes to several pearl buyers in an attempt to sell it. However, they all cheat him and offer pathetic prices. Kino decides to keep the pearl and sell it separately, risking his and his family's lives. In the end, Kino ends up in a scuffle with the trackers and kills them, but an accidental shot from their rifles is fired and hits Coyotito in the head, killing him instantly. Juana and Kino return back to their village with nothing more than a rifle and the dangerous pearl. Kino decides to throw the pearl back into the ocean after all the trouble it has caused. Marxism explains the dangers of class division and corruption from wealth as it is used to climb the social ladder. As you can see, there are two main components of Marxism. 1. Class division, and 2. Oppression of the lower class. In the Pearl, there's a clear line drawn between the bourgeois, the haves, and the proletariats, the have-nots. The separation of classes is the determining factor of social communication as well. For example, in an analysis on the Pearl, it highlights the fact that Kino would dream of finding this treasure so he will be able to rise in social and economic standing. The division among the characters of the book are also a major component of the plot. The priest preaches in his sermons that the congregation should be submissive to authority, which in reality would be upper-class figures such as himself. Like I mentioned before, as soon as he hears that Kino has this fortune, he recalls if he has done any service for him recently and proceeds to remind Kino that he should do his duty to the church. Another example of the class divide can be witnessed in the gatekeeper, who guards the doctor's house. The gatekeeper is a native, just like Kino, however, he has a more prestigious job. The gatekeeper still feels the shame of his people's oppression but does nothing to help, like when Kino came to the doctor's house in search of assistance for his sick son, and the gatekeeper was the one who actually turned him away. Another visual in the book of the class divide is the living conditions between the upper and lower class. The natives live in little huts along the ocean with very little resources, whereas the upper class lives in big cities in nice houses. This just demonstrates the upper class's life of luxury, where on the other hand, the lower class is struggling to survive. Going further into this topic, we notice the upper class's oppression of the lower class. This is done in order to maintain and secure their high social position. In a Marxist critique on capitalism, when applied to the Pearl, the author of the article, Ulla, states, "For capitalism, getting and keeping economic power is the motive behind all social and political activities." So the result would be the exploitation of the proletariats. Kino goes to look for light to indicate he will try to liberate all kinds of darkness. Of course, this serves as a metaphor for where the darkness represents the poor in the community and how often they are just pushed back into the shadows. Another example of the oppression is the village itself, where the individuals are used to do the hard work and then have to sell their findings for unjustly low prices. The upper class characters also serve as an example of oppression to the lower class. The doctor refuses to help Coyotito because Kino does not have the money to pay him, although a doctor's job is to give aid to those in need. In Meyer's analysis of the pearl, he analyzes the priest, noting that he tends to brainwash the community to follow the stigmas from the members of the upper class such as himself. The purpose for this constant oppression serves two reasons to the upper class. For one, the benefit of using the workers is to get cheap goods to sell for high prices to make vast sums of money. As well as ripping them off by exploiting them, there's no way for a proletariat to even have the opportunity to rise to the bourgeois class with this system. This fundamental base of money that our society has built upon may have negative repercussions, as seen in several instances of the pearl. Kino started his journey with a normal life and a wonderful family. However, after the destruction of his livelihood due to the greed of the pearl, he ended with nothing. It is important to realize that the constant pursuit of money can promote injustice due to extrinsically motivated intentions, such as greed. However, as long as we have the right intentions, we will be able to properly pursue our dreams and aspirations in this world.